It started like any other Thursday morning in Dallas, Texas. The streets were just waking up. Coffee shops were filling with commuters, and the sky hung heavy with that early morning haze. But inside, one unremarkable pain management clinic, wedged between a dry cleaner and a strip mall dentist, federal agents were about to make an arrest that would leave investigators across the country shaking their heads. It was November 16th, 2023, when federal officers, armed with a warrant and months of quietly gathered evidence, pushed through the doors of the Baroga Pain Management Clinic. They weren't there for counterfeit prescriptions or pill mill distribution, crimes that have become routine in the post-opioid crisis landscape. No, this case was stranger. They were there for the doctors themselves. Inside, patients sat patiently in the waiting room, some clutching their lower backs, others shifting uncomfortably in plastic chairs, unaware that the two men who ran the clinic, identical twin brothers, Dr. Dino and Dr. Desi Baroga, were about to be unmasked as the masterminds of one of the most bizarre healthcare frauds in U.S. history. The Barogas weren't just overbilling. They weren't just padding insurance claims. According to federal prosecutors, they were performing phantom injections, fake medical procedures carried out with a pantomime so convincing it turned into a $45 million illusion. So, let's meet our main characters, Dino and Desi Baroga. Same face, same degrees, same obsession with money. To the untrained eye, they were the picture of success. Board-certified pain management specialists with pristine white coats, spotless clinic walls, and a constant stream of patients. At 51 years old, they'd built what looked like a thriving medical empire. Their clinic was busy, as the neighbors described it, though busy might have been too polite a word. The parking lot was always full. The phones never stopped ringing, and for patients desperate for pain relief, the Baroga twins were like gatekeepers to salvation. Their business revolved around the most powerful substances in the pain relief arsenal: hydrocodone, oxycodone, morphine, the kind of drugs that come with warning labels and whispered reputations. But to their patients, these were lifelines. And the Barogas knew that. They wielded prescription pads like golden tickets. If you wanted your refill, you followed their rules. You came in, you paid your copay, you nodded politely while they did whatever it was they claimed to do, and you left with the pills that kept your world from falling apart. But behind those clinic doors, it wasn't medicine being practiced, it was theater. The scheme, when you break it down, was absurdly simple. Step 1. Leverage the patient's dependency. The Barogas had a built-in customer base of people who could not afford to miss their appointments. These were individuals with chronic pain, addiction histories, or both. Every month, they had to return for an evaluation before the next prescription refill. That simple policy ensured a never-ending flow of bodies through the door, a predictable, renewable source of income. Step 2. Monetize the visit to the max. During each appointment, the Barogas would bill the patient's insurance company for an expensive medical procedure, specifically corticosteroid injections. These are legitimate treatments for inflammation and back pain. They're supposed to be administered directly into muscles or joints, and when done correctly, they can help relieve discomfort. But the twins weren't actually doing them. Here's where the fraud becomes surreal. Federal investigators later revealed that the Barogas were billing insurers for as many as 80 injections per patient per visit. Let that sink in. 80. That's not a typo. That's not a clerical error. That's an anatomical impossibility. To put it in perspective, an actual doctor might perform 2 or 3 such injections in a visit, maybe 4 if the patient's condition is severe. 80 would turn your body into a pincushion. It's laughably insane, unless, of course, the injections never happened. And that's the thing. They didn't. The Barogas were faking it. literally pantomiming injections. They'd take a capped needle, press it lightly against the patient's skin, and pretend to push. No puncture, no medication, no pain relief, just performance. One little boop, another boop, over and over. A pantomime poke. The patients, many of them distracted or numbed by their dependence on prescription opioids, didn't object. They didn't ask questions. Some may not have even realized what was happening. They came for their refills, and the Barogas made sure they got them. But the true genius, or madness, of the scam was in the paperwork. You can't just bill an insurance company for make-believe. You need documentation. You need proof. And the Barogas delivered, sort of. They created fake medical records, cut and pasted from patient to patient. Copy the chart, change the name, repeat. These cloned records showed identical injection patterns, identical notes, identical vitals. It was the same visit, multiplied by hundreds. The Justice Department would later describe these files as mass-produced fraud. It wasn't sloppy, it was industrial. Over 6 years, from 2016 to 2022, the Baroga twins submitted at least $45 million in fraudulent claims. Of that, insurers actually paid out more than $9 million. 9 million real dollars, earned from imaginary procedures. It was money conjured out of thin air. Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Cigna, United Healthcare, all of them were duped. The system was so large, so automated, that it never questioned the absurdity of 80 injections per patient. And that's the heart of the tragedy. The system isn't built to catch stupidity. It's built to catch subtlety. The insurance industry operates on a pay-and-chase model. Approve claims now, investigate later. With millions of transactions flowing through every day, it's easier to assume honesty than to verify every single one. Fraud like this slips through precisely because it's too ridiculous to imagine. No one in an office cubicle at Cigna thought to ask, "Wait, how do you even inject someone 80 times in 30 minutes?" While the twins were raking in their millions, their patients were being quietly exploited. The Barogas weren't just fraudsters, they were enablers. By dangling pain prescriptions like bait, they kept vulnerable people dependent and compliant. Each month, the patients returned for their appointments, not realizing they were props in a multi-million-dollar illusion. Their suffering became the backdrop for a medical pantomime. Fake injections traded for real opioids, real insurance claims, and real profit. So, how did it finally unravel? It wasn't a brave whistleblower or an undercover sting. The truth came out because of data. Cold, clinical, digital data. Somewhere deep inside an insurance company's analytics department, a red flag was raised. A small clinic in Dallas was billing for more corticosteroid injections than some hospitals. The numbers didn't make sense. An algorithm somewhere ran a report and said, "This is impossible." That's how the modern world catches criminals now, not through confessions or eyewitnesses, but through anomalies in spreadsheets. Once the data looked suspicious, the case snowballed. The Department of Labor, the DEA, and the Texas Department of Insurance all joined the investigation. When they compared billing patterns, the Baroga clinic didn't just stand out, it screamed fraud. They were statistical outliers on every front. The government's forensic accountants traced the flow of money, cross-checked patient files, and found a trail of cloned medical notes. It was like uncovering a counterfeit factory, except instead of fake cash, they were printing fake medical care. And as the evidence stacked up, the moral ugliness of the scheme came into focus. This wasn't a victimless crime. As U.S. Attorney Liega Simonton later said, the Barogas exploited drug users' vulnerabilities. They weren't just bilking insurance companies, They were manipulating people trapped by pain and addiction. They made addicts complicit in fraud, using their desperation as cover. They'd built a medical machine that fed on human dependency. By November 2023, the investigation reached its breaking point. Armed with a 7-count indictment, including charges of healthcare fraud and unlawful distribution of controlled substances, federal agents descended on the clinic. When the Barragas were arrested, they pleaded not guilty. Of course they did. The twin brothers, who had mirrored each other's lives since birth, now mirrored each other's defense: denial. But evidence doesn't lie, especially when it's digital. Investigators had billing records, bank statements, and patient charts that were practically identical, word for word. They had testimonies from staff who'd seen the pantomime injections. They had the raw data showing 80 injection claims submitted within minutes of each other. It was overwhelming. By May 2024, the Barragas folded. Both brothers pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to commit healthcare fraud. The trial was over before it began. In September 2024, Judge Brantley Starr handed down the final sentence: 6.5 years in federal prison for each brother. The court ordered them to pay $9,016,883.10 in restitution, a poetic number, almost to the penny of what they'd pocketed. Their medical licenses were revoked, their clinic shuttered, their reputations obliterated. When he delivered the sentence, Judge Starr didn't mince words. He called their actions reprehensible, emphasizing that this wasn't a sterile, victim-free crime. They were using their patients' addictions to fuel their own greed, he said. And in that one line, the illusion collapsed completely. The Barragas hadn't just committed fraud. They'd betrayed the trust at the core of medicine. What makes this story so haunting isn't just the absurdity of it, the pantomime, the fake boops, the mountain of cloned paperwork. It's what it reveals about the American healthcare system itself. It's a system so vast and profit-driven that 2 men with clipboards and a printer could quietly steal $45 million before anyone noticed. It's a system where addiction can be turned into leverage and bureaucracy can become camouflage. In another light, you could almost see the Barragas as products of that very system. Men who realized that in the American medical marketplace, perception is profit. If you can bill it, you can build it. If the paperwork says you healed someone, then as far as the insurance database is concerned, you did. Their crime wasn't sophistication, it was confidence. They bet that no one would ever look too closely, and for 6 long years, they were right. Their story joins a growing list of surreal medical frauds in America's history: doctors billing for ghost patients, fake surgeries, unnecessary tests, all feeding off a $1 trillion industry that runs more on trust than verification. But none have been quite as literal in their fakery as the Barragas. Their entire empire was built on pretending. They didn't heal people, they acted like they did. They didn't inject medicine, they mimed it. It's a case that blurs the line between crime and performance art. As investigators later pieced together the timeline, the twins' motives seemed painfully simple: greed masked as ambition. Dano and Desi weren't underdogs trying to make ends meet. They were already successful doctors, making more than enough through legitimate means. But they wanted more. More clinics, more cars, more zeros in their accounts. They'd grown addicted, not to pills, but to profit. The downfall came swiftly, but the consequences extended far beyond the 2 men. Their patients were left scrambling, many of them cut off from the only source of medication they'd known for years. Some likely turned to other clinics, others to the street. Insurance companies tightened audit protocols. State medical boards issued new guidelines on pain management billing. The ripple effect of the pantomime poke spread through the medical community like a cautionary tale. What makes this case sting is how close the Barogas came to getting away with it. If not for a data mining algorithm, their bizarre theater of medicine might still be running today. That's the irony. Artificial intelligence caught what human oversight missed. A spreadsheet, not a whistleblower, had more empathy than the doctors themselves. Picture it. Two identical twins in white coats, miming injections like magicians performing sleight of hand, while printers churned out fake charts and insurance systems kept sending checks. It wasn't medicine, it was pantomime. A $45 million performance with no applause, just deception. When the story broke in 2023, the world laughed. But behind the absurdity was tragedy. Trust shattered, patience exploited, and a stark reminder that greed often hides behind a white coat. In the end, the Barogas' illusion collapsed, leaving them with nothing but matching prison uniforms and a long time to think. Thank you for watching Sloppy Medicine. Stay safe. Stay informed.